There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Well, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it, Tim?
Yeah, it was.
Kind of nice to, it's been a long time since we've had somebody live in the studio with us.
Mainly because I don't shower, but now I'm going to correct that and start showering so we can have more people in.
So we've got a lot of people are popping up and IMing us and telling us how much they enjoyed hearing Scotty. So as I said, we're going to try to have him back here on a semi-regular basis to do some more readings for you. If you like that, let us know. If there's ideas, show ideas, tips, hints, ideas that you'd like, please do that. As a matter of fact, our next guest was a tip and a hint from another guest, Diana Avena of Roswell Ghost Tours, had called me shortly after our show had started here, and she said, there's a guy you got to talk to. His name is Patrick Burns, and he's on a show that's coming out called Haunting Evidence on Court TV. And we brought Patrick on. Patrick's become a fast friend of the show and of us in person. He's like a new brother to me, and we're always happy to have him back on the show. Good evening, Patrick.
Dave, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks again for being here with us, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Now, you got some really exciting stuff that's been going on here in this season for Haunting Evidence. For those of you that haven't watched it, shame on you. It's on, as a matter of fact, there was a nice long marathon of it today. So
yeah, I just found out about that tonight.
I TiVo'd it. I got like all the episodes now to watch, and I'll be selling them on eBay. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But this season's really been hopping. I mean, last season it was a good season. It was an interesting show, but this season you can really see you guys are coming into your positions on the show, and it's amazing. Plus, I really am enjoying the fact, and I'm not just saying this because we've become close friends, but I'm really enjoying the fact that they are utilizing you as a paranormal investigator and not you as Bosley, the car driver.
Patrick Burns, the paranormal chauffeur. That's me. What's really funny is art imitates life. I was the only person that drove to UNIVCON last October in Pennsylvania, and I had my minivan there, and like I said, life imitates art, or art imitates life. I ended up driving everybody around, Chris Fleming and Rosemary and everybody that was there. It was kind of funny. You as well. No, it is. This season, definitely they're giving me a little bit more time to showcase what I bring to the table as a paranormal investigator. And, I've had some new toys to work with this season that I didn't have for last season, for the first season. I've been given a chance to concentrate on working on recording EVP a little bit more. And,
yeah, I've noticed that. And you've gotten some really amazing EVPs this season.
Yeah, there have been a couple of really good ones. There was one in an episode that we did in Arizona. The voice called my name out.
Yeah, now how strange was that? I mean, to hear your name become...
Oh, man.
I love the look on your face. Tim, did you get to see that episode?
Yeah.
That was my needlepoint night.
That was, yeah. This is Patrick's going, and he goes, didn't you just set up? And you're like, I think I've got something already.
Yeah.
And he takes it back and
recording.
Yeah.
We ducked back into this rocky crevice where the girls' bodies had been discovered. And when I do EVP recordings, I have a digital voice recorder that allows me to monitor in real time through headphones, and I highly, highly recommend everybody do this. If you have a digital voice recorder, plug in a pair of headphones and hit record. See if you can monitor it live. It's very important to know what the microphone is picking up, and occasionally you will hear the EVPs in real time. You can't always make out what they're saying because sometimes you have to apply some noise reduction and or amplification to it, but a lot of times you will hear the EVP coming through at the time you record it. And I went back and analyzed it, and I heard this really raspy voice say, "Patrick, And I mean, that's happened to me about 3 or 4 times on my own investigations, and it always wigs me out when they call your name out. There's just no way to really prepare yourself for that. It's a little weird, you know.
Yeah, it's great.
They've got my name, they've got my number, they know where I live. Oh, great.
And I love the look on your face when you got that, because you had this holy crap look, and it's priceless. And then
I know, I was a little embarrassed watching that episode. I'm like, holy crap.
Well, you shouldn't, because that's the priceless moments, man, when you're getting something like that. Now, you also got one at the Villisca house, wasn't it?
Yeah. There was the Villisca Axe Murder House. That was in Villisca, Iowa. And if people are unfamiliar with this case, go out and Google it. It was a cold case that went back to 1912. Six people, eight people, 2 adults and 6 children were all bludgeoned to death by somebody in the middle of a night with an axe. And it's 95 years old. It's still a cold case. The house has been restored to the condition it was in 1912, and it's preserved as a museum, which is a little odd, but
what a macabre
I suppose
museum.
it is a piece of Americana history.
Sure.
And I've known about this place for years, and I've wanted to investigate it, but I just I don't make it out to the middle of Iowa too frequently, so I kind of put that on the back burner. But early in the season, when we were filming, our producer asked me. He said, "Do you know of any cold cases that are attached to known or reputedly haunted locations?" And there's the Lizzie Borden house, but actually the one that immediately sprung to mind for me was the Villisca Axe Murder House. And they were like, "Wow, Axe Murder House, what happened there?" And I'm like, 8 people were axe murdered. And, wow, when did this happen? 1912. They were like, "Patrick, come on, we can't do that. There's no family to interview that's surviving. There's no law enforcement. The staples of the show that are the common thread in every episode don't apply for this." I said, "Well, you asked." And I said, "Yeah, okay, well, I highly doubt we're going to be able to do it, but, thanks anyways." And, a couple months later, they said, "Hey, Patrick, guess what? Looks like we're going to be going to Villisca, Iowa." And I was like, "Yes!"
Very cool.
I got all stoked about it. But, during the course of the investigation, I did an EVP session, and I was calling out to Lena Stillinger, who was one of the 2 house guests that was murdered that night. And presumably, based on her wounds that she had sustained, it looks like she was the only one in the house that actually woke up while this was going on, because she had a gash on her arm. She was the only one that had any other injuries to her body. So it looks like she apparently tried to get out of the way, or may have put up a bit of a struggle. And so, presumably she's the only one that realized she was murdered. And both John and Carla seemed to be connecting with Lena's spirit in the house. And I did my EVP session, and I asked Lena, "Are you here with us tonight?" I think was my question, and you hear a very raspy voice reply back, "Yes." And that was something else. It was a pretty creepy episode. I think it was probably the best episode of the show yet. Because within the course of filming the show, we have to be very sensitive to the families,
right?
Whose loved ones we're profiling the cases of, because of the virtue of the fact of the age of the case. It's not that we didn't have to be respectful. I mean, doesn't matter that it happened 95 years ago. It's still 8 people were murdered, and we have to be respectful of that. But they were able to play it up a little bit more as more of a ghost story than they were able to for say some of the more recent crimes that we profile. And I really did enjoy doing it. Something that a lot of people didn't realize. I begged our production company. I said, "Let me spend the night here alone when we're done filming," and they did. And
tell us about that. What was that experience like to spend the night in there?
Oh man, I was shaking in my shoes. I mean, I've got some photos of me taken by one of our series producers just about 5 minutes before they left me there alone, and you can tell by the look on my face that I'm second guessing myself. I'm like, is this such a good idea? But basically, they left me there with my entire rig, all of the equipment that I use in the scope of the show, and I did spend the night there by myself. I lasted all night. Recorded a lot of video, a lot of audio, much of which I still haven't even had a chance to go back and review because I've just been so busy and constantly on the go all summer long. I'm probably going to enlist the aid of some of my friends online at some point to help me review this stuff because there's probably some really good stuff there. There was one instance that really freaked me out, though. I was doing an EVP session in the bedroom where the children were sleeping, and doing the usual, asking for a sign of their presence, an audible sign, something tangible that I would recognize, and I heard like a knock on the door, or knock on a wall somewhere in the house, and that woke me up. I was going on about 20 hours without sleep at that point, and when I heard that woke me up for the rest of the night, and it was pretty crazy. It was a dream come true, though, to actually have the chance to investigate this place.
Do you get a lot of fans now telling you of cold case files that they want reopened?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, are you getting overwhelmed with cases? I mean, you guys should be able to stay on the air for the next 30 years.
Oh God, well, Dave, the saddest aspect about our show is that we will never run out of source material. There's 5,000 cold case homicides in the United States alone. 5,000, and so by virtue of that fact, and of course, new ones popping up every day, pretty much. By virtue of that alone, the show sadly will never run out of content. It's just a sad fact, but there's a lot of contact that is going on. I get contacted constantly by fans of the show, giving me tips on cases for us to possibly work, and I have to, I tell them the truth. Neither myself nor John nor Carla have any choice or any say in the cases that we select. Now, like an example of the Velisca case, sometimes we do give them leads for possible cases that we might profile. But when it comes to the actual selection process, the three of us are totally out of the loop, and we have absolutely no say-so. But when I do get leads, I pass them on to our production company, and they, in conjunction with people at the network at Court TV, pick out which cases we're going to work.
Now, Tim says you got a question from the boards over there, Tim?
Yeah, kind of relating to what you're saying, Patrick. Lemmy on the boards wants to know if you would ever do a case where someone was in prison but possibly innocent. I know that kind of goes against the whole cold case idea, but would it be worth going kind of outside of the parameters of the program to do that?
That would be fascinating, and I would be very, very interested to see or hear what John J. Oliver were to come up with. John has just this season in particular has just been hitting out of the park home runs.
I would agree, man. I've been blown away. We just had John on a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And every episode I watch, I mean, it's and that's certainly no slight to Carla, but John has definitely taken a front and center position this season with his stuff, and it's just been uncanny what he's able to come up with.
John has just been, really, really amazing, everybody. And, of course, I know a lot of people out there that watch the show are probably very skeptical, and they think, they give the psychics details ahead of time. I can tell you this does not go on. I've watched very carefully from the get-go for any signs of monkey business going on, because I'm not going to associate my name with something that is not genuine, okay? And I have not seen any evidence in the scope of filming. And of course, I have a unique insight that the viewers of the show will never see, because of the fact that I'm a part of it. I live it. I'm there when the cameras are not rolling. And I can tell you that John is very, very adamant about coming into these cases completely cold himself. He refers to it as front-loading. He doesn't want any prior knowledge or information about these cases. Maybe a first name, and that's about it. But he's really just been amazingly on the ball this season. That has been discussed. John has said that he can look at an individual, usually in person, but many times also just by looking at their photograph. He can get a psychic vibe, and he believes that he can tell if somebody is guilty or innocent just by looking at them. And you know what? I believe it. Based on what the guy has come up with, it would not surprise me in the least.
And, thankfully, he's decided to join us at the Stanley retreat that we're doing in November.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
It'll be a great opportunity for people there to actually see this for themselves and see the way he works. He's going to be doing a talk on the use of psychics in criminal investigation. Patrick, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here. I hope you don't mind too much.
Okay.
And just give you a chance to kind of clarify, because I've gotten a lot of emails when the people knew that you were going to be on the show this week. There's a lot of weird little tidbits popping up around about the fact that Court TV is changing to True TV.
That's correct.
Season 3 is still kind of up in the air. I know that there's been some speculation that there's going to be changes on the show. So from the press releases I'm reading, it seems like Carla Barron is out shopping herself to try to find a new job. And then there's other ones I read where it seems like she's the only one that's going to be staying on with Court TV. Is there anything you can give us solid about what you know about the future of Haunting Evidence?
Well, what you said is true, to pardon the pun. Yes, Court TV is rebranding the network. I believe in January of 2008, it will no longer be called Court TV. It's going to be called True TV, and I believe that move is being done so that they are not pigeonholed into doing only crime-related programs. They're kind of wanting to expand out and do other genres of reality TV, other subject matter besides just crime-related, legal-related stuff. Like you see on Court TV right now, and by rebranding the network, of course, they're no longer, pigeonholed into only doing, crime-based reality television programs. So that is true. My contract with the network came up for renewal this past summer. We're still hashing out the details. I was asked to sign a 90-day extension for Court TV to renew their option to procure me for a third season, but that is all I know right now. I'm sort of in a holding pattern with them right now, negotiating out contract for season 3. There have been some discussions about changes in the format of the show. One thing that is being tossed around, and this is by no means set in stone. It's been proposed maybe making the show an hour long. They're still really trying to figure out where they want to take the show. I think the name will remain the same, but there are going to be changes in the format. I do not know if Carla is returning. I do not know if John is returning to the program. To be perfectly honest, the three of us really don't talk much outside of production of the show.
Stop it, Patrick. Stop it. I don't believe it. You're best friends. You do each other's hair and nails. I can't believe that you're not. Yeah, I understand. A lot of people. Well, John, crap. I mean, he's off in Japan doing a show. Plus, he does work for Real Criminal Investigations. Plus, he runs Taekwondo Studios. He does talks and teaches classes. And I mean, the guy's everywhere. You guys
got to have a million frequent flyer miles.
you've got a real job. Plus, you've got Haunting Evidence, and then you work for that goofy Dave at Darkness Radio at all of his events.
Yeah.
So you guys are out there, and I know Carla's got seems like 100 irons in the fire, according to the press releases I keep reading, that she's trying to work on new show ideas and things. So I wish all of you continued success with it, and I'd love to see you guys back again because I enjoy seeing it. And at least the paranormal angle of it. I know there's been some speculation if she is shopping herself to another channel. I hope that they keep the show going, even if it's just you and John, because with John stepping up as big as he's been this season and just hitting him out of the ballpark, I think it's great. Plus, it's been so interesting to watch more of the paranormal aspect with you doing the research and doing the on-the-spot investigation. And what I've liked this year, and this is, again, no slam on you because I know you don't have any point in it, but last year you seemed to be more of the Bosley character informing the angels what the case is, and then you would sit there and say, "Oh, there's a dip in the temperature," and that was pretty much Patrick's role.
Yeah, they didn't really give me a chance to explain what it was. Yeah, I had read a number of complaints from people on a few message boards. They were sort of like, and what's up with that gray-haired guy? What exactly is his role in the program? And I sat there and I couldn't lash out. I was like, gosh, you know what? If I were on the outside looking in, I would have to ask the same question. Really, what is my role on the program? And fortunately for the second season, they did make my role a little bit more clearly defined.
And for the record, let me say I'm certainly not trying to employ people to, or hoping that they're going to kick Carla off or she moves on without you. I'm just saying that I hope that if she does move on and find a different program to work on, that they certainly at least keep the show going with you two.
Absolutely.
Because I think the dynamic is so interesting to see a psychic investigator along with a real paranormal investigator out there doing what you're doing.
I think so too, Dave. And I wish I don't know what, to be perfectly honest, what Carla's plans are or what she has in the works. But I do wish her the best of luck with whatever endeavor she decides to go with. If she comes back for Haunting Evidence Season 3.
Is there any truth to the rumor she's going to be doing Sylvia Brown the musical?
I haven't heard about that yet, but she's got a number of different projects in the works, and who knows. But
well, we're going to take a quick break here with you, Patrick. We'll be back. We've got some questions from the listeners. You're listening to the Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show with our guest and one of the three co-hosts of the TV show Haunting Evidence on Court TV Wednesday nights. Check it out on your TV listings if you haven't watched it. It's an amazing show. We'll be back with more right after this.
Once you have seen Dave and Tim in the light, you'll understand why we must return to the darkness on the edge of town. Stay tuned. There is more to come.
For 58 years, Fate has consistently supplied its loyal readership with a broad array of true reports of the strange and unknown. Fate is a factual magazine containing articles by experts in all walks of life, and by others just like you who have something dynamic, significant, and truthful to say. Keep up with the latest on angels and miracles, psychic phenomena, ghosts, UFOs, archaeological hotspots, alternative science, and much, much more. To receive your free Fate magazine, call now at 1-800-728-2730 or visit our website at www.fatemag.com. That's 1-800-728-2730 or www.fatemag.com. What are you waiting for? Your fate awaits.
Are you tired of reading about what couple in Hollywood is breaking up or divorcing? Have you ever wondered where you can find the news that covers the subjects that you are really interested in? I would like to invite you to visit supernaturalnews.com. Supernatural News uses the latest internet technology to search for the topics we know you will be interested in reading. News of the latest Bigfoot, UFO, or Loch Ness Monster sightings. Read about the latest conspiracy theories and urban legends. Supernatural News, where belief and reality merge.
Try not to fall asleep. We'll only give you nightmares. Welcome back to the darkness on the edge of town.
Tim, you're breaking my balls here on the radio constantly.
Stop.
I just made the comment. I was telling Tim, I said, it was nice having Scott in the studio with us. Because, so often I feel disconnected, and that's no offense to you, Patch. I love you and love having guests like you on the show, but it's so nice to have somebody sitting across the table from you while you're interviewing them so you can keep an eye on them, because...
Make faces at me and stuff.
Exactly, because,
roll your eyes.
It's disturbing to Tim to know that you're just sitting there in your boxer shorts.
Actually, I'm a little turned on by it.
And your Hooters T-shirt while you're talking to us, Patrick. But
yeah, that's it. You know it, man. Crunchy socks, too.
Yeah. Well, let's. I've got a question here from Alabama Deb, and she'd like to know last Wednesday night's show, they found the guy in his SUV in one of the bodies of water yet. Have they found that?
Well, first off, hello, Deb. How you doing, hon? Deb's a great friend of mine, and we've done some investigations together. Secondly, no, they have not, as of yet, that I know of. The law enforcement, they really don't tell us anything in regards to the status of the investigations, where they're at, and what's going on. Usually, when there is a break in a case, we usually find out about it through the same channels that everyone else does. So,
all right. So there's no.
Unfortunately, they as far as I know, there has not been any development in the case yet.
So, are you getting tired of the question, Patrick? Are they going to ever do follow-up episodes to let us know when they're, da-da-da-da-da?
Nope, absolutely not. We're going to leave everybody hanging forever. And
screw you. Whether we know the answer or not, we're not telling you.
It's up to you to do your own research and find out. No, of course not. Of course that's not the case. Yes, absolutely. As there are developments in the cases, I should say, there will be recap, update episodes for sure.
And there was one already this year from last year.
There was this season, the Katie Sepich case from season 1. Katie was a first-year law student in Las Cruces, New Mexico. She had been at a party with her boyfriend and got into a fight with him and tried walking home. She was apparently abducted by somebody on the walk home to her place, and she was basically raped and murdered, strangled outside of her home. And just very, very tragic story. Whoever did this to her ended up taking her basically back and dumping her body in the desert and trying to conceal the crime by setting fire to her remains. And her parents were instrumental in having a very controversial law passed in New Mexico that they actually refer to as Katie's Law. Mm-hmm. If your listeners are interested in reading more about it, they can go to katieslaw.org. And it's Katie with a Katie, katieslaw.org. And basically, Katie's Law says in the state of New Mexico, and this is actually a similar law in several other states as well, anybody who is charged with a violent felony has to submit not only fingerprints when they're booked, but a DNA sample as well. Well, they had this guy apparently arrested about 3 months after Katie's murder, and he was incarcerated in prison on burglary charges. And they ended up finally running his DNA sample against the statewide database, and they found a match to the DNA recovered from Katie's body. And when they confronted him with it, of course, he tried to backpedal. He said, yeah, I saw her walking home. Yeah, we had sex, but it was consensual, but I didn't murder her, blah, 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 blah. Well, based on one of the details that John had given, he saw an item of Katie's that he had that was still in his truck. Now, that was another point that John had gotten right, was that he saw this guy driving a pickup truck, which in fact he did, and he had sold it since the time of the crime. But based on the fact that John was adamant that there was still an item of hers in the vehicle, they seized the vehicle, they searched it, they found a ring that Katie had been wearing that night, and of course, when they confronted him with that, that's when he started to sing. That's when he cracked and confessed to the whole crime.
Does that just freak you out, Patrick, hanging out with a guy? We're paranormal investigators. We believe that there is more going on out there than is visible by the naked eye. But then to actually be in the presence of somebody like John who hits on that stuff, do you ever just stand back and go, holy crap, that is absolutely weird?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Brian from Taps, formerly of Taps, his catchphrase is "Dude, run," from the episode of Ghost Hunters when he took off at Eastern State Penitentiary. my catchphrase is "You're freaking me out, man." It was the second pilot that we had filmed for the first season. Tara Baker case. It was actually just down the road from me, not too far, in Athens, Georgia. John was coming out of the gate, just nailing all these details about the crime, and it was actually a break in the filming, and I didn't think that they were still recording, and I walked over to John and I said, "You're freaking me out, man." And they ended up putting that clip. Apparently one of the cameras was still recording, and they ended up putting that into the show, and I cringed, and everybody is like teased me about it constantly ever since. It's sort of become my catchphrase, but he does. And I mean, I have moments, these freaking out moments with John on a regular basis on almost every episode. I mean, he's coming up with stuff, and it's like, how the hell did he know that?
Well, we asked him on the show. I said what I thought was so amazing. There was the one lady who she apparently had a fight with her husband, and she was like in New York City and
right,
and looking at and then she vanished in the mountains. I said, how in God's name can you stand on a corner in New York City where millions of people pass every day and link into that energy of just one person who stood there 7 years ago? And, it is so unbelievable to me that I mean, that's what keeps, and I'm sure that's what keeps you moving forward too, because I don't know if you're like me in this sense, Patch. There's times when we, sometimes I almost feel like maybe there's not that much paranormal going on out there in the world.
Sure.
Maybe there's, I start to get numb to it, and then I see something like John does, and then I stand back and I go, wow, that's crazy.
Absolutely. And, I'm a skeptic, as you are. True skeptic, not cynic. We accept the possibility of this stuff going on. Which I think you have to.
Right.
You can't be closed-minded to any of it. But the episode we did in Arizona, it was so funny because we did our first brush where these two girls had lived. We went into their apartment complex, and John is standing out there. And he's given details about everything. And I know, of course, I know some of the case details ahead of time. But John has been brought into this cold, so he's not front-loaded. And he's hitting on all these details about where they were going, what they were doing. One of them is smoking, da-da-da. He's just going down the list. And I'm looking at Tim Robbins, our series producer. And he's got this blank stare on his face. And I'm like, just watching him for a little bit, and I'm listening to John. And then we get into the SUV to drive to our next location, and Tim is driving us. And John gets into the back seat, and Tim puts the car into gear, and he stops. He puts his foot on the brake, and he turns around, and he looks at John, and he's like, "John, are you sure you're not doing research on these cases ahead of time?" I mean, that tells me right there that there is no, there's no monkey business going on within the scope of the show. And of course, the casual viewer of the show, and people like you as well, will never see that. I have a very unique insight into the inner workings of the show.
Do you get jealous yourself, Patrick, being that we're out trying to figure out the paranormal? It would almost drive me insane to have a friend that could do what John does. Because dude, teach me. I want to know how to do it. You got to come on.
John,
let me just take a hit and see it for once, right?
Let me just say something, Dave. John J. Oliver is a class act. He is one of the nicest people you will ever meet. He comes across as being very stoic. He's very serious on the show, but he has a wicked sense of humor.
Right.
And those everybody who's lucky enough to be going to the Darkness events where John is going to be there will see this. Yes, he does smile. Yes, he does laugh. He has a very wicked sense of humor. But no, there's no jealousy on that part there, Dave.
No,
really,
I don't mean in a sense of I mean, I'm just saying I would be jealous just because that's the absolute. I mean, man, if you could see ghosts and you could tap into what these people are doing. As a paranormal investigator, how does that not drive you nuts wanting to have that? You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the old 70s and 80s TV show Greatest American Hero?
Sure.
It reminds me of Robert Culp's character, Bill Maxwell, the FBI agent. You know, they gave the red pajamas to the wrong guy. Why can't I want this. This is my job. Let me be the guy that can do all this stuff.
You know, the only thing unfortunate, Dave, that I'm jealous about is that John doesn't live closer to Atlanta. I would love to utilize him on my own investigations that I do for ghost towns. Fortunately, John lives all the way in New York City.
New York City,
extensively. The man lives out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
And, but he's really just amazing. It was really kind of cool last year at UnivCon. After we did the our interview, John and I were in a local radio station and did an interview one of the days of the conference. And the gentleman who drove us to the interview, his name escapes me. He's involved with the conference.
Was it Topher or Sergi?
No, it wasn't Topher or Sergi. It wasn't Ryan. It was one of their other assistants. I can't think of his name right now, but John wanted to see the Amish countryside because he had never really seen it. And ironically, the highway that we were driving down, we actually had driven down filming the Ray Greeker episode of Haunting Evidence, but we actually, had a chance, had an afternoon to kill, so we went and looked at some of the Amish countryside. And he wanted to take us also to a location. There's a bed and breakfast and tavern that allegedly Edgar Allan Poe had stayed at for some time. And it's apparently where he penned the poem The Raven at in this place. Of course, I wanted to see it. I'm a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan. John did as well. John was very intrigued by it. And we went in there, and it was really kind of funny. It was like another episode of Haunting Evidence. The only difference was there were no cameras running. John is keying in on Edgar Allan Poe's energy and where he felt his presence the strongest in this tavern. He said, I see him standing at the bar here a lot, not sitting but standing, and it was fascinating. It was I would love to have him to be able to tap in to his abilities within the scope of my own investigations. And the man just never fails to amaze me.
Well, let me ask you about this now, Patch, because we've done quite a few events together now. We've been out to the Queen Mary. We've been out to Waverly Hills. We've been out to the Stanley Hotel. Mm-hmm. Which one do you think is more haunted? What do you feel that you're experiencing more?
To be perfectly honest, Dave, I felt the most amount of activity that I came across was at the Queen Mary.
Okay.
Really, the energy there was very intense. I got left in the boiler or the engine compartment by myself for a half hour. Kind of a funny little side note here for your listeners that may not have been there or haven't been to any of the Darkness events. But when we do the ghost hunts, what they'll do is they'll put myself in one location, Chris Fleming will go into another location, Jason and Grant go into another location, and basically what happens is everybody gets broken off into groups of about 20, 25 people or so, and they rotate through people, so that way everybody gets a chance to investigate with all of the guest presenters at Dave's events. At the Queen Mary, the groups were supposed to be escorted around by the Queen Mary security staff. Well, the security staff that came through with the first group that I was with apparently misunderstood the fact that each group was supposed to be in each room for an hour. He thought they were only supposed to be in for a half hour, 15 minutes or something. So he took the first group out early, and I'm standing around there in the engine compartment of the Queen Mary all by myself,
right,
twiddling my thumbs for about 5 minutes, and I'm like, this is a waste. I mean, I've got all my gear with me. I need to roll some video. So I grab my video camera and I start recording a mini on-the-spot documentary of my of my solo time in the engine compartment of the Queen Mary. And while I'm down there, I start hearing all sorts of crazy stuff going on. There's hatches swinging open, footsteps. I can hear people walking around. I can hear people talking. On at least 3 different occasions, I'd hear what sounded like a group of people approaching. And I'd be like, okay, here comes my next group. nobody came. Nobody arrived. I've got this recorded on video.
Right.
And then, of course, the watertight door number 13 is where a worker on the ship, John, had gotten crushed. These watertight doors are on hydraulic systems and apply, just tens of thousands of pounds of force per square inch. And this guy got trapped. I guess he was trying to get through into the other compartment, thought he could make it. He didn't. He got tripped up, and he ended up getting crushed by this door.
Right.
And I was about maybe 50 feet away from door number 13, and you hear a very, very clear EVP voice on my camcorder. It was recorded on my camcorder. It sounds like it's saying hello or help. Actually, listening back to it now, I think it sounded more like it was saying help me. And I recorded this all on video and ended up showing it the next day for my presentation. I did a seat of the pants editing session in my room on the Queen Mary that night, and actually presented this as a little miniature 5-minute documentary of my solo investigation.
Well, you should. We need that so we can put it up on our site so people can see that little video clip if you've got it, Patrick.
Definitely.
Because it's great.
Yeah.
You're in there all Blair Witch talking to yourself on the camera, and then you're like, oh, hello? And then you go walking on there like, there's nobody here.
Well, and then I even make a quip at one point. I'm like, you know what? I'll bet Dave is playing a practical joke on me. They're going to turn out all the lights down here. No, never.
No, not on my events. You know that. I won't do anything that'll interfere for the ghost investigation themselves.
This is true. But I started thinking, I was like, what's going on here? I'm waiting there for a half hour, and nobody's coming. But it was something else. That was definitely a freaking me out moment.
Well, we're gonna take our second and last break of the evening for this hour. You're listening to the Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show, and I appreciate that you do. Do us a quick favor. Join our friends from the Paranormal X The Gathering. There's a dinner and a discussion with noted paranormal investigators Brian Hunwa, Donald LaCroix, Lisa Dualaby, Paula Donovan, Andy Andrews, Keith and Carl Johnson, and Sandra Johnson, and Tom D'Agostino. The evening includes a dinner, paranormal investigation reference guide, Q&A session with video presentations, a swag bag, courtesy of Scars Magazine. Money that's going to go there's going to be a portion of it will be donated to Rolling Hills Preservation Society to help save Rolling Hill Sanitarium. All the information, only $99 for the night, and it's going to take place at the Sheraton Airport Hotel in Warwick, Rhode Island. That's going to be Saturday, September 22nd from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. For all the information, go to scarsmagazine.com. Again, that's scarsmagazine.com. Help with preserving Rolling Hills. We'll be back with more right after this.
We thought El Chupacabra meant the cup of coffee in Spanish.
Me llamo Eduardo Especial. ¿Cómo está el yay?
What you talking about, Willis?
Shows you what we know. Stay tuned. There's more to come from the darkness on the edge of town.
If you read Taps Paramag every month, you'll be able to tell the difference between the absurd
could not go to work because Bigfoot stole my car.
and the creepy. Taps Paramag takes you where few would ever go on purpose. From exclusive interviews with the cast of The Ghost Hunters to the latest trends in technology in the field of the paranormal. To join our journey, order at tapsparamag.com.
Are you tired of reading about what couple in Hollywood is breaking up or divorcing? Have you ever wondered where you can find the news that covers the subjects that you are really interested in? I would like to invite you to visit supernaturalnews.com. Supernatural News uses the latest internet technology to search for the topics we know you will be interested in reading. News of the latest Bigfoot, UFO, or Loch Ness Monster sightings. Read about the latest conspiracy theories and urban legends. Supernatural News, where belief and reality merge.
If you bleed from the ears while listening to Leo Sayer records, would it qualify as a paranormal experience? I thought so. Welcome back to the darkness on the edge of town. Ooh, that hurts.
Yes, you do, Timmy. I gotta listen to a little Leo Sayer.
I want to
once in
hear.
a while.
Hey, let's bring up Patrick. Sing to this, Patrick.
That's right. Patrick's going to be having karaoke at his event, which is a costume, right? It's costumes and karaoke, and you're calling it karaoke. And,
Absolutely.
And I will tell you, we hung out at the Stanley, and we went out and had karaoke with all of the people there.
Oh, my God.
The employees, and had just such a great time. Is that your recorder? Do you hear that echo going on?
Echo.
Patrick, turn down your damn radio, would you?
I don't have a radio.
Oh, my God. Something's echoing. It's crazy in the background. Anyway, let's talk real quick, Patch. We got to do our duty here and help with some tickets. We've got our buddy Keith Age, who's hosting the Mid-South Paranormal Conference, which takes place in Louisville, Kentucky next weekend.
Yep.
And you and I are going to be out there.
Absolutely.
And partaking in talks and investigations and having a lot of fun. So people, please come on out and support it. It's a great deal out in Louisville, Kentucky. There's going to be, like I said, about 800 people come through there. There's vendors, there's information, there's great speakers, and you get a chance to shake hands and get photographs with the lovely and talented Mr. Patrick Burns.
Why, thank you.
You bet.
I just love it when you call me lovely and talented.
Well, you are. Now, let's talk about a couple of the other things. Again, mentioning we are currently sold out on the Stanley event, and we are currently sold out on the Queen Mary. If you're interested in attending, you can send an email to dave@darknessradio.com. In the subject line, I need you to put in there waiting list for either the Stanley or the Queen Mary. Then inside it, I need your name, your phone number, and an email that works, and we will try to get in touch with you if tickets open up for the event. Rolling Hills is still open. And then, Patrick, you've got an event that's going on, 3-4 years in a row here now, and it's called Ghost Stock. Fascinating event. I'm going to be out there. This is my first Ghost Stock. I can't even tell you how excited I am to be out there and be a part of this. It's taking place in Savannah, Georgia, and this is Halloween weekend. The first night, Thursday night, is karaoke and a costume contest, right?
Yep.
Then Friday, there are talks and ghost hunts, as well as Saturday, correct?
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. We'll do our investigations Friday night. There will be panel discussions during the day on Friday. Friday night, we break people off into small teams. Most teams are no larger than 10 people, and some are quite a bit smaller than that, maybe 6 to 8 people, into small groups, and we send them out to locations around Savannah. We've acquired exclusive access for the purpose of the investigation during the event, to go in and people to go and investigate these and go collect their evidence. All day Saturday, people get to attend more panels and kind of review their footage, and we'll upload everybody's footage, evidence that they've collected, onto a central media computer, and we'll have a reveal panel Saturday night, where people basically, we'll call each team up onto the stage, and they'll tell us a little bit about the location that they went and what they found in each location. Each team will have a little presentation that they do for about 10 or 15 minutes, show us their best footage, EVP video and photos that they collected, and tell us of any other interesting experiences that happened. And then, everybody kind of goes out and lets their hair down after that. Once that concludes, we'll probably go and do a little spirit hunting in Savannah, the type that come in a bottle.
Yes. I like your thinking, Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a great time, and can you believe this, Tim? Not only have I been invited, but Patrick is letting me speak at the event.
I am letting Dave speak. Dave is going to be one of our featured speakers.
I think this is the first event I'm officially a speaker at.
Why would you want to bring down your event?
Right.
he's dumbing it down for the common folk, Tim.
Dave, do you know what you're going to speak about yet?
I do. I'm going to do a talk on the common mistakes of paranormal investigating and evidence review.
Good for you.
So,
I think that'll be a well-received panel.
I'm going to show scenes from ghost hunters, dead, famous, and haunting evidence, and show everything you guys do wrong. No, I'm just kidding. No. But we had a really great. I had a lot of feedback from people at the Waverly Hills event. The last day we did an evidence review, and some people showed us their evidence, and then they had questions. And actually, Patrick and I ended up fielding tons of questions that day about what to do and what not to do. And I had so many people ask me to, do that. We're going to start making that a presentation at our events, and I'm going to break it out at your event first. And give a little talk just from perspective of having analyzed and watched all these different groups do paranormal investigations and see what looks good, what doesn't, and maybe help get people on the straight and narrow. So we're going to be doing that, and it also spawned some other great topics we're going to be working on for future darkness events. I know Patrick's going to be doing the do's and don'ts of photography on the common mistakes that are made during photos. And I'm excited. Tim's really jazzed about working with you at the Stanley.
Yeah, that's going to be great, Tim.
Tim and Patrick are going to do an EVP clinic where Patrick's going to show you the best ways to do it. While he's doing that, anybody that's attending the Stanley can bring EVPs that they've collected before, just have them queued up to the point where they're at, and then we'll download them into Tim's computer. He'll clean them the right way without over scrubbing them, and we'll see if we can show you the proper ways of doing EVP work, and that'll be with Patrick Burns and Tim Dennis.
Or I'll totally screw it up, and you can take it home as a souvenir. Hey, you know what, Patrick? There is actually, interestingly enough, with the infrared photography, Jeremy on the boards wants to know. He says he does a lot of near-infrared digital photography, and he says I've been modded a simple point and shoot Sony digital to it. Can't afford to do it on a nice SLR, so he'd like to know if there's any suggestions on how to effectively apply his camera to an investigation.
For doing near-infrared photography, a lot of people don't realize this, but all digital cameras, by design, well, not even actually by design, it's just sort of the way it works out, they're all sensitive to infrared light. And you can confirm this by taking a photograph of your television remote. Press a button on your remote and snap some photos of it, and you should see the infrared LED light up in the photos, which, of course, you wouldn't be able to see with your naked eye. You can actually place an infrared filter over the lens of your camera, and you can take infrared photographs with an unmodified camera. The problem is there's an infrared blocking filter inside the camera, which is called a hot mirror, and this is put in there so that you can get nice color-balanced photos that you would otherwise not be able to get because the sensor is more sensitive to the infrared. But the problem with doing it on an unmodified camera is you have to use long exposure times. A tripod is absolutely necessary unless you are shooting in bright sunlight. You may be able to, depending on the model of your camera, you may be able to have it modified. Now, the company that I work with is a company called LifePixel, lifepixel.com. They're the ones that do the infrared modifications. For one of the cameras that I worked with on Haunting Evidence, and then actually my Nikon D70, I did the modification myself. I purchased the materials from them. And you can go onto their website. They may very well offer that model an infrared modification for that model camera. I think the cost is about $225 the last time I checked. I'm not sure. You might have to go on and see. But they do the modification to several different cameras. Now, the caveat, the catch-22 to remember there is once that modification is done, you're not going to be able to take normal color photos. All of your photos are going to be near-infrared photos. The good news is when they do the modification, they send you the hot mirror back with the modified camera. So at some point in the future, if you decide that the game is over and you don't want to take infrared photos anymore, you can have the modification reversed, and they'll replace the filter, and you'll get your camera back, and you can take regular color photos.
Well, Patrick, let me ask you this, too, real quick, because we're running out of time. I think we've only got, another minute or so, minute and a half left, Tim. Let's give out the Ghost Stock information so people can sign up. What exactly do they do? Where are they going to get to go? What's the cost? Let's hit them.
Cost is, I believe it's $100 per person or $180 per couple. And couples do not necessarily have to be significant other or married, just two people. If you have a friend that wants to come with, we'll sell you a couple registration for $180. They go to ghoststock.com, GHOSTOCK.com. They can register right there on the site. We've got a secure PayPal link where people can do their registrations. If you want to go on an investigation, it is limited to the first 100 100 sign-ups for the event. I think as of right now, there are only maybe a few spots that are left. We are filling up very quickly, and we're just about 5 or 6 weeks away from the event. So if you want to go on an investigation, hurry up and get to the site, ghoststock.com, and you can read up our schedule, our itinerary, everything that we have planned for the schedule is on that site as well, ghoststock.com.
Right, and for only $100 for an entire weekend. I mean, that's great for the parties, for the hanging out, for the talks and getting to hang out with Patrick. And are you going to do some of your awesome photography there as well, Patch?
I may do that, Dave. I may actually do some infrared photos. Maybe we'll, if we have some time, I'll take people down to Colonial Park Cemetery, which is just a couple blocks away, and very, very beautiful, very awesome. We should be able to get some great shots there.
Great. Well, Patrick, thanks again for joining us, and continued good luck with the show, Haunting Evidence. We're going to be watching. It's on every Wednesday night on Court TV. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, and remember, we're going to be back next weekend with Mary Ann Winkowski, the real ghost whisperer. Email me at dave@darknessradio.com by tomorrow at noon if you want to be a part of that show. We'll be calling you tomorrow between 1 to 2:30 p.m. Central Time if you want to participate, and you have to be at your home or residence that you believe is haunted for Mary Ann to link in. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back with more next week. Again, our guests will be Mary Ann Winkowski, and for Hour 2, Stacy Jones, the Ghost Cop. Stay tuned with us here at Darkness on the Edge of Town Radio each and every week. We appreciate it.